Hi guys, welcome to Homeschooling on Mama's Bed. If you are new here, welcome. My name is Gwinnell. I'm homeschooling my 7-year-old son second grade, and then I'm also teaching my 4-year-old daughter preschool. If you are a returning visitor, thank you so much for coming back. It's always so fun to have you here. Today, I'm going to talk about how to fill your tank. Why does that matter? Why would I take time to talk about that? Well, it's pretty simple. You can't run on an empty tank. You can't fill someone else's cup when your cup is empty. So how do we go about doing that? I'm today going to talk about the golden hour and components that we can use for said golden hour. What's the golden hour? Well, golden is referring to the sunset, so the golden sky, and hour is, well, an hour. I don't know how to get clearer than that. And what this is supposed to accomplish is filling your mind, your body, your spirit, your mental capacity. This is truly filling your tank holistically in all areas so that you are ready to start the day in a great way. You are energized, you are invigorated, you are mentally ready, you are physically ready, you are emotionally ready to handle what's ahead of you. So what I do is going to look a little bit differently than what you might do. My sister also homeschools. She is the Mindful Homeschooler if you've not heard of her yet. If not, go check her out. She does things differently than I do, but we both do try to have our own golden hours because we've both learned about it, we've discussed it, we've realized just how valuable that time is. And I can tell you, before I get into all the details of what you can do for your golden hour, let me tell you a difference before and after. So I started this year really neglecting my golden hour, not doing the things that I knew would fill my tank. And what happened is I got stressed, I got overwhelmed, I lost interest in homeschooling. I didn't stop, but it stopped being exciting to me and rewarding. And that was a big indicator. Okay, I'm not filling my tank. I'm running on empty and I'm overwhelmed and I'm maxed and overstimulated all the time. Not good things, right? So my husband very lovingly said, well, hey, have you been doing your golden hour activities? And I said, ooh, no, I have not. And it was a great opportunity for me to course correct. We're always course correcting. We're humans, right? And get back on track. And since doing it, I feel much more focused. I feel invigorated, excited, ready to go. I am a lot more fun. I am the kind of mom that my son needs. I'm ready to grow, and just it gets me on a growth path so that I am learning more in my own mental strength, my own emotional strength, physical strength, all these areas that make me a better me. And I don't need to scroll on my phone when I'm filling my tank because it doesn't really fill me. And because it doesn't fill me, I'm not as gravitated towards it because I'm already filling myself early in the morning, starting my day out, and I'm ready to go. I don't need fillers. I don't need doom scrolling. I don't need that stuff because it's not fulfilling. I'm not gravitating towards that. I'm gravitating towards things that are going to continuously refill my tank during the day, as it just naturally will get depleted later on through the day. That's why it's a golden hour. We do it every day when we wake up so that we are back on track, ready to roll. And if you miss a day or two, that's fine, but get back on track as you can. Okay, that's the why behind it. Without further ado, what do I personally do? And remember, what I do isn't necessarily going to be what's best for you. First, I start my day by meditating for 15 to 20 minutes. Next, after that, I'm going to get out my journal and I am going to write down 10 things I'm grateful for. There is huge power in gratitude. If you're not sure about that, go ahead and research it. You will be blown away. The next thing that I do is I am going to read my scriptures. I am a spiritual person. You might not be. Skip this. If you're not spiritual, don't do this. I read about 15 minutes of scriptures. Next, I'm going to read 15 minutes of a self-help book. This is the book I'm currently reading. I'll talk more about this one in a minute. Lastly, I'm going to pull my journal back out and I'm going to write down any reflections that I had from reading both my scriptures and my self-help book. I'm going to do a little bit of prayer, ask some questions. What should I focus on for the day? If you're not religious, don't pray about it. Just ask yourself, what should I focus on today? What should be my goal? I'm going to be really intentional in this pondering, and it's only going to take me about 5 to 10 minutes to do. And that's it. So just a quick recap. 15 to 20 minutes of meditating, 15 minutes of scripture reading, 15 minutes of a self-help book, and then I'm going to do 10 to 15 minutes of journaling. So does that equal a little bit more than an hour sometimes? But again, the journaling is pretty quick. So really, all in all, it takes about an hour. Sometimes a little bit less, sometimes a little bit more. I'm not really a stickler about the hour. I'm just a stickler about making sure these things get done. And what these things are going to do is they're going to build my mind. Your mind is your biggest asset. When your mind is strong, everything goes super well. Okay? It makes the biggest difference in the world. Okay, so those are the things that I do. Now let's talk about the self-help books, because I feel like of everything I mentioned, the biggest thing that people wonder is, well, what book should I read and why should I read it? So I'm going to give you some of my favorite suggestions. Are there other books out there that I love? Yes, absolutely. Will I share them? Absolutely. But do I have time to share them today? No, unfortunately not. Time is limited, so I'm going to share with you just the cream of the crop for the moment. I'm always expanding that list. I'm always growing. I'm always looking for new books to read. So this list will expand. I'll do an updated video in the future of other books that I found that are super helpful. Today, I just want to focus on my very favorites. Okay, the first category of books that I'm going to share are books on your child's need, getting to know your kiddo better. The first book that I want to talk about is The 5 Love Languages for Children. Let's get that there so you can see the author as well. Why I love this book is because it tells you what your child's needs are. You can't fill their needs if you don't even know what they are. And as young children, even up to adolescent, it can be a little bit tricky to know exactly which love language is theirs. So a recommendation from the author is to fill them all. And if you fill them all, you're going to get them. And you will learn by practice which things you do are going to fill their needs the best. You're going to learn when they get better responses, when their behavior improves, when they get more loving towards you, when they open up more by filling their needs. If you don't know what the love languages are, this is a great book to start. And in the table of contents, it tells you right here what the love languages are. 1, physical touch. 2, words of affirmation. 3, quality time. 4, gifts. And 5, acts of service. So which one belongs to your kiddo will vary greatly, and I highly, highly recommend this. This is why this is the first book I am talking about. Next is Wired That Way. This is a personality book, and this is going to help you understand 1, your child's temperament, 2, how to fill their communication style, and 3, how to work with them when they're having challenges, when they're doing really well, how to compliment them, how to uplift them. This is phenomenal. This is actually the first personality book that I've ever connected with, because my personality is really outgoing, but it's also very structured, very type A, very organized. And for some reason, that combination isn't picked up well in most personality tests and books. So for example, the 16 characteristic one is terrible because it picks up one or the other, but I actually have 2 different temperaments. And this is the first book I've ever found to handle both of them. I highly recommend it. In fact, all of my sisters and my mom and I have read this book. My husband has read this book. My in-laws have all read this book. We talk about it all the time. We use it. We know each other's personalities, and it's actually helped us tremendously understand each other better, work with each other. So imagine what it's going to do for you homeschooling your children. It is a powerful book. 20 out of 10. I could not recommend this book enough. And if it wasn't for the fact of the 5 love languages for children, this would be the #1 book. But they are both super powerful. And these are just going to help you understand your children better. If you can work with them better, you can teach them better. You can't teach them well if you don't understand their needs, how to fill their cup, how to communicate best with them, and how to work with them when they're struggling. These books are going to make a world of a difference. Super recommend these. Next area of books that I want to cover is actually in AI. And the book I want to highlight is The Learning Revelation. This is by Sarah Schachtenels. She is from Switzerland. She used to be my boss when I was her live-in nanny / au pair. And she is a brilliant woman. She has a PhD in education science. She's a professor at the University of Freiburg in Switzerland, and she specializes in teacher training, research, and pedagogical development. And that just means learning new ways to teach. So AI is involved pretty much in everything we do. In the workforce, in education, even when we Google something, you get an AI overview. It's everywhere. And this is a phenomenal, well done book that goes over education and AI together. So we all have questions. What's the right balance? What's harmful? What's helpful? In the end, what's going to do well? And there's a lot of research in here, but it's also spelled out very clearly. So it's not a difficult book to read. It's a great one. I've really enjoyed reading it, and I highly recommend it. Even if you're not really concerned about what's the best way to go about AI and homeschooling, I highly recommend this book, and I hope you give it a try. The next subject that I want to talk about is building your child's mindset, emotional intelligence, and resiliency. So the books that I have selected to go over this are #1, Mindset. This is a very well-known book, very popular. So if you have heard of it, I'm not surprised. And if not, I'm excited to be the one to tell you about it. It's pretty simple. This book covers 2 ways that people generally tend to think. Either You have a fixed mindset, which is you were born with natural abilities and gifts. And if you have them, great, use them. And if you don't, you're not going to get them. Or a growth mindset, which means anybody can grow into anything they want to become. Of course, there are natural gifts and talents, and you can build upon those. But even if you don't have them, you can grow them and you can develop them. The premise is that we all have both, but we do tend to gravitate towards one or the other. And so reading this book will really help you as a parent in your homeschooling approach, and also helping your child gravitate towards a growth mindset as they are learning. The next book that I want to cover is 13 Things That Mentally Strong People Don't Do. Interesting approach, but this is actually written by a therapist, and she does a phenomenal job here. And the point of this book is to develop emotional resilience and emotional intelligence. Super amazing book. Highly recommend it. It's also a very easy read. I enjoyed the author's approach to her writing style. It felt like I was sitting and having a conversation with her versus just sitting and being talked at. So an easy read, very enjoyable, and very effective. Great lessons for you as a parent and for your child to learn. Next, you've already seen this one, Let Them. And I would also be surprised if you haven't heard about it. But if you haven't heard about it, oh, I'm so excited to tell you about it. It is one of my favorite books of all time. I have listened to this at least 3 times on Audible. And now I'm sitting down and reading it. Now, the point of reading versus Audible is actually really important. Sitting down and reading means you are not multitasking. You're not trying to do other things. You're not getting distracted. You are able to fully pay attention to the content and fully absorb what you're reading. Even if you are not a visual learner, even if you are an audio learner, if you are sitting and listening to a book, you're not going to sit still. Most people don't in this day and age. Most people are folding laundry, they're doing dishes, they're doing errands, they're in their car, they are not sitting and listening. So unless you're just sitting and fully listening, you're not going to absorb as much as you would sitting and reading. So I highly recommend finding a situation where you can sit and read something. Now, this book is really powerful because it teaches you to let go of things out of your control. And so this is something we really want to be teaching our children, but also for ourselves. So this category, yes, it is building an emotionally resilient child, but it's also going to be for you because mamas and dads, we're growing too. So this book teaches you to let go of what you cannot control. As they say, tell yourself, let them. And that de-escalates the amygdala, which is your fight or flight response. When you say let them, you calm down the fight or flight response. You put the prefrontal cortex back in control, and that is the one that makes educated, conscious, thought out, level-headed decisions. Not the amygdala that's going to give you a stress response, right? This is going to help you say, it's okay they did that, or it's okay this worked out this way. Let them. And then you say, let me. You do what's in your control to help the situation get better. Powerful, powerful for emotional intelligence. 2,000 out of 10 recommend. Next, we have Daring Greatly. This is a powerful book about teaching your children and also yourself how to be vulnerable. Being vulnerable is where you can grow because this is where you try and you let yourself fail and you let yourself get back up, learn that lesson that you need to, and try again. This is a very, very powerful lesson for our children to be able to learn when they can get in the arena, when they can do what they need to and not be afraid of doing it wrong, but just trying. A powerful change happens within ourselves and within our children. Lastly, Grit. I'm sure you've heard of this. This is also a very popular book, but if not, again, I'm excited to be the one to tell you about it. Grit is all about how to work hard and get things done. This is something that we want in ourselves, and this is something we very much want in our children. We want them to be hard workers. We want them to get it done, and we want them to push past their blocks and their barriers so they can accomplish amazing things in their life. And this is a very technical book, but it is very worth a read. I highly recommend it. Okay, the last category of books I have are specifically to build you, mama. Number 1 is The Compound Effect. Now, if you've read Atomic Habits, then you know very well what I'm about to talk about. And if not, I also recommend that one as well. That one just happens to be a lot longer of a book. And so for this reason, I'm recommending Compound Effect because it's a lot shorter of a book, you can see. And it's also very entertaining. You're going to really enjoy reading this book. In this book, you're going to learn that small and steady wins the race. You're going to learn little daily choices that you can repeat over and over to reach your end goal. Second is the 7 habits of highly effective people. Now, in this book, the 7 habits are number 1, be proactive. Number 2, begin with the end in mind. Number 3, put first things first. Number 4, think win-win. Number 5, first seek to understand, then to be understood. 7, synergize, and 8, sharpen the saw. So what this book is essentially going to teach you is how to get organized, how to be proactive, how to be intentional with your values and your purpose, and how to work with people better. Those are critical in homeschooling. I cannot recommend this book highly enough to be a better homeschooling mom, a better person, and a better example for our children. And we know that our children learn by what we do, not by what we say. So if you're living these principles, your children are going to become amazing people who are going to build a newer, better society. Lastly, breaking the habit of being yourself. This book teaches you how to effectively replace negative habits, mindsets, and beliefs with positive ones. It's really cool. It's also very scientific. So this is not a book I would ever recommend listening to. This is a book you're going to want to sit down and slowly digest 15 minutes at a time. It is powerful though, and you will learn so much. For example, you will be mind blown at the development from an infant's brain and mind and an adult's. It actually explains why middle schoolers are so mean. It makes perfect sense. It also explains why babies don't have a lot going on that they're thinking about, and then why adults have a lot they're thinking about, how they often end up in a high stress place. We were talking about the amygdala, how a lot of adults end up in fight or flight mode constantly, how that wears us down, and how to get out of that. So this is another great mindset book. It's also a psychology heavy book, and it's really interesting. It's made such an impact in my life. I highly recommend it. Okay, guys, these have been my book recommendations for your special golden hour. I hope you give golden hour a try. Don't just do it one day. Give it at least 3 weeks. They say that it takes 21 days to make a habit, and you will notice a big difference. Just skip one day after 3 weeks of doing this, and you will realize, wow, that makes a big difference. Now, you don't have to do this at 5 in the morning. I'm not getting up at 5 in the morning. Why would I want you to? If you are, more power to you, friend. That is incredible. I start this at 7 in the morning, sometimes 8. I started when I started. I started before I start homeschooling. I started before I see my children. My husband gets up a little bit earlier than I do. That's our family dynamic. I do this. He knows our home is a happier place when I have my golden hour. So he does everything he can to make sure that I get it before I start homeschooling, and then homeschool. And it goes so much better. So I highly recommend it. And I would love to know, if you have a golden hour, what are you doing? And if you're not doing a golden hour, what would you be interested in doing to fill your tank? What are meaningful, enriching activities that build you, that grow you, and that expand your capacity? I'd love to hear about it. Okay. Thanks so much for tuning in to Homeschooling on Mama's Bed. It's been so nice to have you. Until next time. Bye-bye.